You are now listening to What's the Fuzz, a furry podcast that advocates for diversity, equality, and cultural exchange inside and outside of the fandom. Never miss another episode again. Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows. And now, your host, Reiner.
Hey Fuzzles, how's it going? Welcome to What's the Fuzz, the only podcast you can find a sexy-ass blue dragon host like myself, the one and only Reiner. Thanks for coming by, to all the first-time listeners and loyal folks out there itching to get a taste of what this week's guest has to offer. Just a heads up, we're actually going to be going on a hiatus until June because May is absolutely insane. So don't freak out or anything. I promise we'll be back ASAP. Big shout out to the supporters out there we've gained in the past week, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify if you haven't already. And you can check out all of our neat resources on our website, runnerrights.com, or in the show notes below. Now, with that out of the way, we're going to be talking about Fursuit Fanatics, community, and creative drive in this episode of What's the Fuzz? Tonight, I'm sitting down with Graham, an artist and co-owner of Furench Toast Fursuits. Be sure you catch them over on Twitter, at MangoMoyan, linked in the show notes below. Thanks so much for coming on the show, Graham. I've been looking forward to hearing to what you have to say for a very long time.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here and do this with you.
Hell yeah. I love hearing what people have to say regardless of where they come from or anything. So hey, more the merrier, right?
Yeah, sick.
All right. Now, first, an icebreaker question for you. What is the coolest fursuit that you've ever seen?
The coolest fursuit I've ever seen would probably be the plush suit that was like all the rage a while ago. It was like a corgi and shaped like a teardrop. I mean, legs are like maybe an inch off the ground. Crazy adorable. Loved it. Love it to this day. The big eyes, big ears. Chef kiss.
All right. Now on to the actual questions I think my listeners would love to know a bit more about you. So to get started, where are you from? How old are you? What are your pronouns? Your ethnicity? And how would you describe your sexuality/gender identity if you feel so comfortable with saying so?
Okay, let me see if I remember all these questions. Let's see. I'm from Kansas City, born, bred, all that. I've been here, Midwest. Let's see. I'm 22. Almost thought I was 21. Been 22 for a little while now, getting used to that. I am black, mixed with black. Let's see. And
it's a good mixture.
I know, right? And I am non-binary, she, they pronouns, and I identify as pansexual/queer.
Hell yeah, let's go, queer gang. Whoop, whoop.
Represent.
Let's go. And who is your main OC, and how do you feel you express yourself through them?
My main OC is Graham the Moyen poodle. And she's been with me since I was like 12. She underwent a lot of changes, but now I feel like she represents me because she's small. We have the same type of hair. We are the same color. She has my piercings and piercings that I want. She has my favorite colors on her body and her tongue. So yeah, she's basically me, but if I could become a poodle person walking around.
Nice. What exactly is a Moyen? I've never actually heard of them.
Yeah, it's actually, I found it out after owning a couple poodles, and I was like, well, these are really small, and I don't want a really, really big one. So they breed them in the middle. There's like a middle Moyen size that isn't really recognized, but it's just like the three little bears just right to me. So yeah, they're like a little subset of poodles.
Oh, dang, I didn't know that. That was pretty cool. You can get your poodle any size you want. You got toy, you got Moyen, you got normal.
Yeah, it's like Burger King. Have it your way. Any poodle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And poodles are really intelligent, you know.
They
Right?
are. And
Maybe
they
that's
have
pretty telling about you.
Oh, I know. I like maybe. Who knows? I can solve a crossword pretty well, tie my shoes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Go off.
Yeah, going on. Graduating school, getting those high marks.
And what brought you to the furry fandom in the first place?
I came in through anime. Anime literally ruined my life, poisoned my crops. And then, like a laundry chute, furry came at me like a brick. I used to watch those it started with AMVs, Naruto and Inuyasha AMVs.
Uh-oh.
Next thing I know, I'm looking up Naruto characters as wolves. And then one day I got this one that was like furry rave, and I was hooked literally one after the other until I found like my first fursuit image. And I was like, you can cosplay as a walking dog? Get out of town. And it's been that way ever since. Very closely knit anime and furries for me.
Wow. So it's been your dream to be a dog for a while then.
I mean, yeah. I mean, dogs are pretty cool. They're pretty darn. Have you seen Lassie? Rin Tin Tin? The Tramp from Lady and the Tramp? Iconic. They're pretty cool dogs.
How long have you been in the fandom altogether, would you say?
I'd probably been in the fandom since I was like probably 10.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been here for a while, and I feel it sucking out my life force, but also giving me life force. It's amazing. I remember wearing I had like this white jacket that my mom made me wear to school. She bought it. We got it from like Burlington Coat Factory or something. And I made her take me to like Joann's and buy the little fleece felt sheets. And that night I went home and I hot glued ears to those things. And I couldn't wait to show my computer teacher for some reason. And I went around school with my hoodie up and my ears on. I was like, yeah, look, I'm a dog. You can't talk to me. Look at me. Yeah, no.
What did your teacher say? What did they say?
I think I was young enough to where she had concerns, but she didn't voice them. So she just said, "That's so nice. You did a great job."
Quietly concerned.
She fueled the fire from there, because not too long after, I made a tail, my very first truly furry item. I made a tail and I wore that to school, and it was about like 3 feet long. I went hard and stuffed it. It was more like a beaver tail. And I put that in my locker. Lunchtime came around. You could catch me running through the hallways, wagging my tail. I was there.
Oh,
I lived it.
God.
I lived it.
Wow. You were going full throttle from the get-go. I mean, you played no games. You're just like, fuck this. I'm a dog. Go fuck yourself.
Quite literally, I was just like, you know what? Video games are cool. Anime is cool. Dogs are cool. Who doesn't like a dog? Arf, I get, catch me in chemistry with a cat collar on. I went hard.
Well, since you started when you were 10 years old, how did you transition to the main part of the fandom? Like, from these early memories of being like a dog kid to taking part in the fandom at large? Because, the fandom is very questionable sometimes.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I started, from when I started, I joined DeviantArt, and I was really quiet on there. And I started posting art very infrequently. So I never really actually interacted with other furries. But then I went to conventions when I was about, I don't know, like maybe 14, 15. And all the furries here are like in their 30s at the time. So I still didn't really get to interact with any furries. So I was really on my own until I guess like 1920. I built up the courage to make a Twitter And I think I got on Furry Amino when that was on and popping. And I talked to a couple people every once in a while, but the whole interacting with the furry as a whole as a large is fairly recent, and it's very turbulent because there's a lot of furries now, and furry has changed so much since I was 10, and seeing the adults then and seeing what flew as a community then and all the great stuff that's changed and happened now. But yeah.
Okay, I'm actually kind of relieved because I can imagine furries back then, it was a little bit more fast and loose kind of thing, and you were a little kid and you wanted to be a dog. I don't know. I was a little concerned about that, but since you held off till you were an adult, thank God.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was like, you know what?
The and everything it just got me a little.
Yeah, no, I'm glad I held
yeah.
up too. I think that that childish sense of wonder, it really protected me there. I was like, the internet's scary, and all you guys look 40. I'm just gonna go back to playing my GameCube. I'll join you guys later.
Awesome. Now, you mentioned that things have changed since then. What were some of the biggest changes that you noticed?
Like recently? Oh my goodness. I'm like, there's still a lot of change to happen. We love these furries, love these guys, love all, it's fantastic. But just because when I was a kid, a young black furry in the middle of Missouri, I saw no one, maybe one black furry in my 10 years as a furry, in person and online, just about. And I used to have to dig to find people and really, really dig. I mean, I would Furry Affinity, DeviantArt, Amino, live journals. You know what I mean? Was super hard to find people who were into what I was into and who drew the art that I was into, and was accessible to me as a kid. And now there's so many people, there's so many creators, there's so many creative artists, sculptors, musicians. It's amazing. That and just the change in tolerance for the bigotry, for the racism, the not so savory instances with younger furs, all that. I've seen it come and go. I've seen call outs for people before. It's crazy to see a call out for someone when you're 10 and then see it just go under the rug. And now when I'm 21, the fandom and the voices of the fandom are just like, actually, no, this isn't going to fly. You've been doing this for how long? No, that's not going to fly here anymore. It's been a lot of good changes to see. And there's so many. Just the tide of the fandom has changed so much, and that's what's really cool to me.
So you think people are being held accountable more often now for doing bad things, which is good, of course.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic.
You feel like people are holding their feet to the fire.
Oh yeah. Because furry is such a large thing, so of course, there's tons of people who are trying to make these changes, but I want to say, like, for every 500 people trying to denounce someone who's been abusive or racist, homophobic, sexist, anything like that in the fandom, there's like another 1,000 who act like they don't care or it doesn't pertain to them, and just letting them get away from it, are supporting them regardless of their doings. But yeah, just the amount of people who are holding people accountable nowadays is what's awesome to me.
Now, the thing about holding people accountable is that when people like Spicy Wolf mess up and they make a crappy apology, and then people just automatically start saying that it was okay. Even yesterday, someone called somebody out for saying something that was culturally insensitive. The person takes down the tweet. They make a rushed apology / justification. Then they take that down as well and change the apology completely. Now, here's the thing, right? You can't be accountable if you're not admitting that you did something wrong in the first place and why it was wrong, and putting that forward when you want to actually make up to these groups that you're offending. And it just becomes this perpetual cycle where they give the half apology, everybody excuses it, they say, oh, it's fine, and then they mess up again. It just never becomes an entire apology. The issue's never actually resolved. And that has a lot to do with the people that are in the limelight that got put there because they make YouTube videos, they make fursuits, they make consumable content for people to like slurp down.
Right. Exactly.
And the people that follow them are at fault because they refuse to care enough to continue to condemn them. They would rather just be like, oh, it's fine. And the person that is in the limelight, of course, is at fault because they need to be aware of how much influence they carry with that follower count, with those followers that are people. Each one of those follower, like a number, they're all people. And you need to remember that if you're in any point of power.
Every platform comes with responsibility. A lot of people tend to abuse that in the fandom because there's a lot of young people, there's a lot of impressionable people, or people who just aren't as knowledgeable about certain topics and things like that. And I think a lot of creators take that as an opportunity to disregard any like sense of responsibility, you know, because some accounts are just faceless names and faceless people. So of course they're not really going to hold the person accountable or even stand up for what is morally sound when they do something that's, or something comes out about them.
They think of them as NPCs to just hold them up.
Exactly. Yeah, that's that huge problem. That's how there's so many creators or so many content creators in general who still have platforms after things come out about them all over the multiple times, sometimes even. It just perpetuates the same cycle over and over.
But hopefully we will reach a place where they recognize that these apologies aren't hitting, but they don't know why, so they have to ask why, and earnestly, and they'll listen. Because right now we're telling them why, but they're not asking, so they don't care. But eventually they're going to realize, hey, these apologies actually aren't doing anything for me. In fact, they're making me look worse. When they say, I'm sorry that you feel this way, but I did it because this, and honestly, it's not really an issue, but I will take notice for the future. That's not doing it, Chief. That's not an apology. That's gaslighting. That's shifting the blame. That's everything except for a genuine, sincere apology. And it's so frustrating to see these big time creators constantly get away with it over and over again. Yeah. But I think that we're reaching a place where we're becoming more understanding of BIPOC issues and their people. And we're becoming we're becoming less content with letting things continue with negative peace. Because we're seeing how it affects people in our community, and we're more connected than before.
Exactly. Yeah, the voices of a lot of BIPOC furries it's so much larger, and it still has a lot of room to grow. I still see, just from my local fur community and places around me, a lot of that ignorance and a lot of the sway to just not care, but the strength of the communities that are building online, it's very promising. It's what keeps me going with the fandom. It's been a steady growth since I was a kid, and it's really awesome. Slow and steady, but now it's so rapid pace in the voices that we have now and the connections and the tenacity of the people in the fandom that are really leading a lot of this change and representing communities and sharing that. It's amazing. It's fantastic. I feel like we are reaching a point where we're going to see, hopefully soon, we're going to see a lot more accountability, a lot more change when it comes to the creators with the large platforms in the fandom.
Oh, absolutely. Now, what kind of conversations were you wanting to have in your own community? What kinds of conversations do you feel like are needed to be had, but just keep being pushed away?
Like in my own like local community, furry wise.
Right.
Yeah, well, it's been a long time coming, but it's very white. Over these years, I've met and connected with a lot of other furs who I met a lot of black furs. I've met a lot of, well, not because it's so spread out, and they only recently got rid of and denounced some of the alt-right furs. There was a lot, actually. There was a lot of alt-right furs and racist furs that were a part of the
Really?
community. Yeah. And so there were constantly side chats, side communities being made for people who were uncomfortable with that. And only recently did they denounce that because of when they stormed the Capitol. It was a big, people came to them like, hey, we don't want these people in our chat. We don't want the people in the community. So they felt that they didn't have a choice. And that's the only reason they
Wow.
got rid of these people. And once they did, people were like, finally, this person was harassing me in this chat like regularly and no one did anything. I just wish conversations were had. I wish representation was, the whole board of the my local furry chat is mostly cis white men in their upper ages, which isn't a problem, but is they're not open to change. They're not open to hearing others' opinions. And there's a lot of young people who don't feel comfortable just because of the way they interact in local meets and the way they just sort of don't talk about current events, political issues, or provide comfort for people who were affected. I remember, like storming the Capitol, a lot of people were really stressed and really scared, looking for resources, looking for solace in the chat, and looking for solace with the community, because that's what all some people have. And it was, hey, no, this is fluffy dog time only here. You know, let's keep it extremely light. We're not going to make a post. We're not going to even acknowledge it. We're just going to be like, hey, we got rid of these people. Let's have a good week. You know, it's just weird vibes, weird energy, really disorganized. And the way that they handled things these past couple years, from this pandemic on back to when I first joined back in like 2019. I've been watching things happen. I watched from afar, and then when I was 19, I joined in, and it's just been messy and uncomfortable for me. I'm in just to try to net the people who see it and then don't want to be around it, and hopefully we can form something and do something a bit better, or maybe get enough voices to actually have these conversations and have these things be listened to. But hopefully that'll incite some change. I think it has a lot of potential. I see a lot of young people. I see a lot of BIPOC furs, and I see them scattered and just wondering why. I think that a furry community has the possibility to not just be a place for people to RP and pretend to be a dog, but to be an actual community of people to help provide resources. Just like, some other communities, there's great people and there's unsavory people. And the fact that are people who just have nefarious reasons for joining these groups and picking on the people who need help. And they don't do anything about that. Not even, it's a slew. It's a slew of issues. But because I'm younger and because I'm a young Black non-binary person, I've never been able to get a word in edgewise. I've been to meets and I've gotten stares. I go to meets with me and my friends who are also BIPOC, and people look at us sideways, and people, a room full of white cis white people. And I remember I went and I took off my fursuit. I took off my fursuit, and immediately I like everyone took like maybe 5 feet, 5 steps back. And I was like, okay, I see what it is.
Wow.
You know what I mean? It was just extremely uncomfortable, to sit at a dinner meet and, try to spark conversation and just get side glances, and that not be addressed by anybody else. Have one person talk to me and my friend, and that's about it. You know what I mean? It's
Oh my
it's just
God.
uncomfortable. It's strange, right? It's you see this and you notice this and you look around, and when the only person that's like, what the fuck is your friend? It's crazy, you know. And I'm sure there's people who I haven't met who are just silent because of those type of actions. I just wish that people felt more comfortable speaking up and going to these events and talking to people. It's yeah, I hopefully when this pandemic is over and gatherings are safe and everyone can meet up again, we can do some change around here and maybe get connected to the larger fandom as a whole. So
damn. That's probably one of the worst experiences someone has recounted to me yet on the show. That was crazy.
it was terrible. It was my first meet. It was like my first actual furry meet too. We drove like about like what 2 hours to get there. I was working on my hand paws as I got there. I was like in the car feverishly sewing. I was like, man, this is gonna be. I'm gonna bowl in my fursuit, just like on this, waiting for this since I was a kid. And you know, I went there with my fursuit on, and as soon as I saw like, oh, okay, you know, it looks like I am. Me and my buddy, me and Paint Mutt are the only people of color here. Okay, cool. You know, and I was hesitant to take off my fursuit because I was like, I don't want to have this. I don't want to live that. But of course, I have to live. I'm not a furry. The reality is that I'm not a walking dog. I'm a black person, and I have to experience that. Like it just sucked because I thought about if I brought my sibling, because I have siblings who are they caught it. They caught the furry bug. And if they wanted to come, I know they'd be uncomfortable. I know that they would feel the same things that I felt in that moment. If there was another person who came of color and didn't have a friend, didn't have the support of another friend there, if it wasn't for Pema being there, I'd leave. I would have just walked out. We left a little bit early because of just the general vibes. But that's why it's important. And it just felt uncomfortable. Me and him had a great time. We talked with some people who were willing to talk to us, but that situation was ruined just because I saw people looking and talking. And I'm like, if you have something to say, you can come say it. I have a mouth. I can talk to you. There's no need to, you know, make snide comments over in the back of the room. It was just, yeah, no.
So if I'm getting this right, the main chat was filled with these kinds of furries, with alt-right furries and stuff like that.
Not exactly filled, but they were just, because they weren't blatant with it, you know? It was the people with the oh yeah, ooh, I'm just a cuddly raccoon. I'm just a cuddly baby fox, you know? And it's like, hey, I don't like brown people. And it's what? You just let people like this in the chat? What do you mean? Are furries that were you know, white using slurs against, I mean, like they went online and found everything they could, you know what I mean? And that's stuff that I've seen for a while. And I'm like, why are these people in the chat? You have minors in here. Minors of all nationalities, of all races. Why are they being subjected to this? And these people just don't get any repercussions. It's, you know, I don't know. I feel like I was a new person coming in, and I've heard that the management of the furry community here is very closely knit, and it's you got to know someone, and they've been running it for a while, so it's like an oligarchy of people, which is insane. Because it's like, you've been here for a while, of course you're not going to block your friend, of course you're not going to block the guy you go on camping and hunting trips with, right? You know. But yeah, it was a slight purge, and they refused to let people know or acknowledge the people that were kicked out. So it was just weird. It was like, okay, we got rid of them, no one talk about it. We got rid of them, shh, don't ask who, don't worry about it. What do you mean they're in your DMs? Just shh. Don't talk about it.
Oh my God.
Just weirdo behavior. Just bizarre.
That sounds
truly
like
bizarre.
That sounds like such a mess. It sounds like perpetual pain.
Yeah, that's a lot of the furs that I know from Kansas City who are active online currently. They don't mess with the group, not heavily. If anything, just because that's all we have here in the Midwest, well, in Missouri, just about. And there's so many different. It's just scattered everywhere because they're like roaches. Hey, we'll find your chat. Hey, people having fun, people existing. Oh, we'll find our way in. It's yeah, it's a time. Hopefully, you know, we can rally together and figure something out, make our own group, and then it just keeps happening. A new group spawn and then it falls, and a new group spawn, and there's no real sense. But yeah, no.
I can't imagine having to sit through that. It took an unprecedented, historic freaking event to make them kick out some of the people in the furry chat. I can't get over that.
Yeah.
It took a literally historical event for them to do that.
Yeah.
And what was dare I ask? What was it like during BLM when it was at its full stride?
Oh no, it was anyone who had it in their bio was either asked to take it out or they were attacked. There were a couple people who jumped in and they had it and they're still there, but oh yeah, people prefer if they don't talk. There's people who are just like, what do you mean? Instantly, what about white? What about all lives? What about all lives? Huh? Why don't you? I really don't feel comfortable with your username. I really don't feel with the pictures that your character hears that went around. It was a good handful of people that just wanted to support. There were no they'll post donations for things here and there. They'll post notifications for things going on here and there. People talking about, hey, going to a rally, going to protest, trying to connect with other furs in the group to see if someone could be there for them, because that was a thing. It's a Kansas City furry chat. That's a thing that happens. A lot of people tried to reach out or at least give people warning, like, hey, I'm downtown. Hey, I'm near the plaza. This is what's happening. Stay safe. And That would immediately get flagged. Like, hey, we don't talk about that here. Hey, we don't do that here. Which was just bizarre because they'll talk about other things. They'll be, and I can't exactly remember because it's things that don't really matter to a certain degree. They'll push, hey, we're having a Sunday ice cream social every notification, every single day. But when it's an event that's happening or it's a furry that's having a hard time with what's going on or just wants to be educated about what's going on, there was a couple people in the chat that genuinely were in the dark about BLM and everything going on, and they would ask and they say, hey, no, we don't do political. Hey, take that somewhere else. We don't do political stuff. You see if someone can talk to you about that in DMs, that type of stuff. And it's just like, hey, this is a couple for people would jump in and speak up, and then it would be like, hey, you're gonna get banned. Let's stop. No heated discussion. Just, hey, here's knowledge. Here's a couple links. Are you looking to get banned? Type energy, which was frustrating, which is still frustrating. But hey, that's why you have to reach out to people and each one teach one. But it is just extremely uncomfortable. I really, it sucks. It's really bittersweet because like, wow, I'm finally old enough to see and talk to you people and get engaged with the furry group in my city where I live, and it's just like, oh, hey, you're brown. How about you put that fursuit on real quick, like,
Oh my God.
And of course, I'm sure there's some people who would disagree with me, but there's always some, but it's a common thing. A lot of people feel uncomfortable from what I know and from what I've heard and from people I've reached out to. Not just the BIPOC furries, but a lot of trans furries, LGBT furries, nonsense. It's just crazy. I've had to reach out to people because they were getting attacked in chat, and the people don't get banned, and the people don't get any repercussions from moderators even. who are, you know, non-gender conforming, are LGBT, still face things, especially a lot of transfers. They get really intrusive questions in the chat, or they get just belittled, you know, and it's gotten better just because people take screenshots and people call things out now, and they're not afraid to do that, but those people are still in charge, and it's, you know, it's disgusting. It's not cool. There's way too many reasons to not have that. But
Wow.
yeah, I mean, it's Missouri. That's no excuse, and it comes with the territory to a certain degree. I live in the little blip of blue in Missouri, and I live in a neighborhood that it's mostly Black and brown people. So jumping into a community that's supposed to be a community within my community and seeing nothing but older white folks who don't care about the community that I live in and that some furs live in, it's just jarring. It's weird. I don't know. It makes me, ugh. It's like wet sock feeling, but add racism.
Honestly, I'm so shocked. Like, how do you do it? How have you managed to not get banned from this group at this point?
Because I've reached out to people. I've tried to incite a little bit of change, and it's so quiet, and it's so what's the word? Well, they ignore so much, they brush so much under the rug, that I am in there and I look there just to find people. I've met some really great people, some really close friends I've made from that chat, just because they popped in once, maybe twice. They went to a meet once, maybe twice. And I happened to go there the same time as them. And they're like, yeah, I wasn't going to come to the next one. I'm glad I met you. You know, I'm here from out of town. I wasn't going to go back, but I'm glad I met you. Hey, I'm in this chat and we're both sticking for the same person. We go to DMs and it's just like, isn't that crazy? I know, right? And that's how, you know, that's how some of my closest friendship in the fandom so far is formed, aside from meeting people in college. But it's not a place that I go to, you know, just chat and have fun. So I try to net as many people as I can, so that way at least there's some sense of community there.
So you're taking people away from this other chat?
Not necessarily. I mean, they're in there too, and we just go there to try to regulate it. I feel like if there weren't the people in there that there were, it'd be a lot worse. You know, so every once in a while, if someone's getting dogpiled on, or if they're not really talking about an issue, it's going to get brought up regardless if they want it or not. They can delete the messages, they can delete whatever they want, but we're going to say what we're going to say. It's going to be said. We're going to let you know that there are people here that do care, and the people that will see it will know, because a lot of people don't talk in the chat because it's nonsense half the time. So, you know, there are people that see it and there are people that do care. It's just some people really want a sense of community when it comes to the furry group here, and they can't get it, but they want to stay informed. They want to stay, you know, want to be a part of it. So they're to try, you know, and eventually maybe get a shoe in incite change. It's a process for sure, but you know, a couple locals here, we're doing our best, we're making plans, and hopefully we can do something, help out.
Have you ever considered hosting your own fur meets?
Yeah, that was actually literally before the this pandemic hit. That was the plan. We had like a full, like maybe 6 months plan of meets to hold and things to do to try to make things comfortable and make, because we've been to a couple and we've seen what was being done, and we was like, yeah, this isn't it. This isn't the way. And so, yeah, that's what we were planning to do. A lot of us locals were going to get together and try to pull something, make a chat, hold a couple meets, do something substantial. So it's all just a waiting game now. We are locked and loaded.
Well, I definitely respect it, because you're going up against some crotchety old fucks. Let me tell you that. Damn.
Yeah, for sure. It's gonna be it's going to be a time. I've heard, and it's man, it is it's a timeline of events. It's crazy, but hopefully it can get better. I don't know. I see a lot of young pros around here who are just blatantly uncomfortable or don't feel, I've seen their opinion. I've seen them, I've heard them, and it's just weird. And I feel like as a grown folk now who was once in their shoes, it's not that hard to provide a safe space for people. If you're going to try to create a community, if you're going to try to create a space for people, it's your responsibility to make that space accessible, inclusive, and safe for the people that are there. And that's not what it is now, and that's frustrating. Hopefully I can do that. There's a lot more that needs to be done in general, but I feel like fixing this tiny community of furries for someone who's been watching and who was a part of it now is something that can be done. That could probably help a lot of people.
Welcome to the middle of this episode of What's the Fuzz? Don't forget to give us a like or subscribe on your platform of choice. And if you're listening on Spotify, follow us so you'll know when the latest episode drops. If you're not using any of those things to listen to this, just follow us on Twitter at what'sthefuzz_, or check out the Telegram channel t.me/rhinorites, which I use to post important things that tend to get lost on the Twitter timeline, like pictures of myself. Oh, and if you're BIPOC and over 18, don't forget to check out the BarPox Discord server, linked in the show notes below. Okay, that's everything. Okay, bye! Now, with all these experiences in mind, and how you carry yourself today, where would you say you fit into the furry fandom? What is your piece? What are you in the puzzle?
Me? Oh man, that is quite the question. That is quite the question, especially with just life things going on right now. I think I'm coming into my place in the fandom as a creator as an art creator, and just a furry who wants to get to know the community more and find people like me, as a fursuit maker. Someone I really, growing up seeing these spaces and places that didn't have people that looked like me, now I can fulfill those spaces as a creator and be that, hopefully, for other people who enter the fandom someday. So still trying to find that puzzle piece place, but I'm in no rush to do so. Still a lot of growing, still a lot of self-discovery to happen in general. Still very young. Not by internet standards, I'm sure, but still very young. And hopefully I do find that place. I'd love to be, a furry artist that people see and recognize and know. So yeah, hopefully I do find that puzzle piece, though. That was a really good question.
I don't want to make you get all introspective or anything.
No,
but...
you're fine. I've been introspective like the past month. I was like, who am I? I know I'm a dog.
No.
I've been having that when a dog walks past a mirror and there's like, that's me. That's me. Oh my gosh. No way.
Oh so, man. Yeah. Poodle moment.
I know, right? Poodle moment. Hashtag poodle moment.
So growing up, did your parents really care that you thought you were a dog or anything? Did they think it was weird that you needed help?
That I needed help? No, I come from a family of people who they were creative, really creative people who were just like, wow, you do art? You have this entrance? That is really, really cool. My uncle does tattoos, and my grandpa painted, my mom dabbled in art, so they were just like, yeah, this is pretty par for the course.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
that's
they were
cool.
just like, yeah, it was awesome. Growing up was really cool. I remember I made my first fursuit out of a bunch of, I was like 11, out of a bunch of like cut up Build-A-Bears. And yeah, I said it's time to sacrifice. We're doing it tonight. Really impulsive as a kid. I was like, Grandma, I need foam. And she's like, what kind of foam? I was like foam. We need to go to the foam store. So we found like this random shop that sold upholstery foam, and I went home and I went ham and duct tape eyes and literally anything I could find in the house. I made my first fursuit, and they were like, that is wicked cool. Don't you stop. And it brought me to where I am now, you know, drawing the dog in the family, and they're like, wow, you draw dogs really good. Don't you stop. It was just great. My teachers, everything, they were just like, hey, you're a little weird, but we like you. So keep it up. Keep it up. I think I have so many moments of just like, literally I can remember being steered into the person that I am now. I was like, man, I don't want to draw animals all the time. I'm so bad at drawing animals. And my teacher comes up to me and she's like, no, you're doing really great. The only thing I see is that your lion only has 2 legs. Cause you know how kids draw, you know, the stick figure. And I was like, perspective. And I was like, wow, I'm going to be an artist. Picasso, who? I'm on my way. I am literally learning the trade. It was great growing up. They, to this day, they're still just like, you're making your heads? Are you making those fur heads? Let me see your art. Wow, you drew that? Oh. It's a great time. My family is just like, they don't know anything about it. So they're just like, you do that? That is crazy. Whoa. You could work for the NFL.
Incredible. Oh my God. Is that what it's like to have a supportive family that values you? Damn, I'm so awesome. Envious right now. Man, tisk tisk. No. That is amazing though, honestly.
Oh, man. Thank
you.
That
definitely shows where you get your creative spark and how it was cultivated. That's crazy awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm really grateful to my family. They, you know, and now it's crazy because I have a little sister and I have a older brother. Well, I have a brother, younger brother, and a little sister. My little sister is like big on foxes right now. She's like, I want fox house shoes. Give me a fox shirt. This is me as a fox. And I said, wait a minute. That's you as a fox? Say no more. Say no more. And I made her little fursuit tail, and it's awesome. It's fantastic. And my family's just like, yeah, you're just like your big sister. And I'm like, of course, yes, it's like your big sister.
Oh my gosh, that's so oddly wholesome.
Isn't it? It's crazy. I found out recently, I have a little cousin. He came out to me, really proud of him, and he was like, hey, can I show you my art? And he just draws really great furries. And I'm just like, we need to talk more, because you haven't even seen me in years. Crazy. Furries are everywhere nowadays. Little do I know.
Yes. We are everywhere. We are taking over.
Truly, honestly. I saw one at like Hy-Vee the other day and I was like, what the heck? They're everywhere.
So you identify as non-binary and queer. So did you ever feel like there was something different about you while you were growing up you couldn't quite put your finger on?
Oh yeah, for sure. I not only was I the girl who didn't want to wear, growing up, who didn't want to wear anything dressy or anything like that. My mom hated that. I also I hated Barbies. I hated Barbies a lot. People would buy them for me and I would rip the heads off. Okay, I'm not crazy. And I wasn't crazy then, but I remember me and my cousin, we were hellions, and we would get the Barbies that we got after Christmas or our birthday, and we would take the heads off, put them in a bowl of water, and then I'd have her drink it because I wasn't going to drink plastic water, but she would drink it, and we'd just be like, yeah, we're vampires, and we're killing these girls because...
What?
Yeah. Yeah, that was it. We were just like, no more. Say no more. Another Barbie? Thanks, Auntie. Say no more. Fire up the boiler. You know, it just wasn't a thing. I had a life-size Barbie, and I remember she stayed in my closet, and I said, you know what? You're moving out. And I drug her she was like 4 feet tall. Like she was my size. I've always been a small kid. So I took her by her hair, and I drug her to the apartment dumpster. She was gone. I was like, this is not for me. Not for me.
Jeez. Damn.
You know, just not only that, but I was a big My mom used to have to deal with people in the store being like, "Oh wow, she's such a tomboy," and they're like, and my mom would be like, "Yep, I'm sure she'll grow out of it soon," and I'm just like, little does she know, these Yu-Gi-Oh pants stay on.
Now, you mentioned before that you're a fursuit maker and an artist. So,
Mhm.
what is your method when you start drawing or crafting, I'm sorry, when you start crafting a fursuit?
Oh man, my method is like the bucket method when you make the bucket head shape and to the sizes that you want, and you build onto that. And that's how I've done it since I've figured out how to do it. That's the old fashioned way. Um, and I, pattern it with the duct tape. Sometimes the one half, if I have an uneven pattern, I do both sides. Um, and I go from there. I've been learning a lot more because there's a lot more resources nowadays. So I'm constantly trying to try new things and figure out new ways of doing stuff. Man, people are so creative, and it's so cool. There's super hollow ones, there's 3D printed ones, there's the resin bases. I've been trying to get into a lot, experimenting a lot with the ways of crafting a fursuit and the different styles of fursuit since we're all indoors for a while. But yeah, and I love the sewing. They're like giant puzzles with layers, giant onion puzzles, and they're just really fun. So yeah, I craft it any way I can.
Hmm. Okay, okay. So what's your process like then? Do you get a reference sheet from your would-be client and then you just start with the tail or
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I gotta have a reference sheet. I usually get a reference sheet, and then I do like a 3-point sketch of what the head will look like for the client. Then I usually color pick from the reference sheet, find fur colors that match, and I send that to them as like one fursuit reference sheet, so that way they have it in case they want to get more parts, or they have it if they need anything else, with the colors on it, the fur colors, and the head reference, paws and tail reference, what I have in mind for it. Then I get started once I get their measurements and stuff, and the process goes from there. It's foam patterning. I start with the head, and then I go to the paws and tails. I work on multiple things at once. Like a tail for a fox is really easy project. So if I'm working on the head and I need a break, I'll go ahead and get started on the tail, or cut out a pattern for if it's like a dragon or something that I don't normally have. I'll draft a pattern while I'm doing that. So yeah, the process is super, not really slow, but it's super involved with the client at first, and then throughout it, it's sending whips and talking to them, and giving them updates. And if they're local, or if there's someone that I live with, then it's like, hey, come try this on. Hey, does this feel good? Okay, just making sure. Hey, let me see your hand. Okay, cool. So yeah.
very attentive. So you are the co-owner of Furench Toast Fursuits. How did that get started for you? What made
French
you an
toast.
official business?
Well, it was a long time coming. I did a couple commissions when I was in college, and I was like, wow, I really like making fur. This is really fun. After I made myself a couple to go to like local anime conventions with, I took like my first couple commissions when I was in college, early college, and made pre-mades throughout that, and then I took another commission, like maybe one a year, one every 6 months, on top of doing pre-mades. And I met Paint Mutt, and we just he helped me out a lot with talking to other furries, and talking to clients specifically, making sure that updates get out more so than I could on my own while I'm working. So he'd take pictures and send people stuff in the progress that I wouldn't even like. Wow, thank you, dude. I was trying to get a snag a picture, but I had to go to work. So it was super helpful. And so we were just like, you know what? Let's make it a little bit. Let's do it. And so we went to our first con at Sausage Studios. And then we rebranded because sausages. we rebranded, and it's just been a really great time ever since. Really small maker. Hopefully we can, we've been trying to dedicate more time to it, working on some stuff behind the scenes to get it out. But yeah, really cool passion project. That's just how it started. We both really like the fandom, and we really like fursuits, so we said, why not? Let's go ahead, take the plunge. Let's go ahead, try something new.
Well, shit, if you're gonna go with sausages, I don't see why you didn't just go with the Red Rocket. I mean, come on.
Oh my gosh. Oh
Red
man.
Rocket.
Yum. Oh no.
I suppose, what is the thing that sets your suits apart from everyone else's? What makes yours that special something?
Okay. Well, let me think. Because I literally every suit I make is like slightly different from the last. I don't know. I feel like that's a good question. I've never seen a lot of other suits in person, so I'm just like, well, what does make them different? If anything, like most of the suit makers, I really enjoy what I do. I'll stay up late finishing a project. I think all suits are really awesome in that aspect, especially when I see a creator constantly posting their work. My suits are, you know, no different in that aspect. I'm still trying to find something about my suits that are truly different besides just the style. I'm trying to make them lighter. I'm trying to make sure that, I've been hand sewing my suits from the get go. I only recently got a machine. And now I'm like double sewing everything, reinforcing everything. Cause if anything,
wow.
yeah, cause if anything, I really want someone, if they get a suit, cause it's an investment, I really want someone to make sure that they have something that's going to last them a long time. I never got to buy a suit just because it was out of my price range growing up. And I see people talking about suits that have holes, or, I've been wearing it for a year and this fell off, or, something like that. Or even worse, people being like, oh, yeah, I found a pin. I found something in my suit. And, it hurts because people like, this is your baby. This is your ideal you yourself, tangible, wearable. You can go out and you can be that dragon. You can go out and be that dog. You can go out and be a cyborg lizard king if you want. The last thing you need to worry about is, oh man, I threw a ball too hard and now I have a giant rip in the middle of me. Of course, things happen with wear and tear, but if anything, I'm striving. I'm doing my best to get my suits to the point where they can be worn like 5-6 years. Suits like that, I'm just like, that's wicked cool. That is wicked cool because they've never had to, worry like, oh, I'm at a convention and my body, I'm naked now. My bodysuit just fell open, or oh, my eye fell off, or something like that. I lost a tooth. Oops, that's stuff that is really crazy to me. But hopefully I guess that's what I'm trying to do to make my suits stand out. Is make sure they're cute, they're comfortable, and they can take a good beating. So yeah, that's about it, I think.
Furench Toast Fursuits.
Yup.
Double sewed with love. Made to last.
Made to last.
There you go. That is it.
Wow, you made my tagline. I should commission you for a jingle.
How far would you like to take this? Would you like to make it into something that is a career for you, or did you want to keep it as like a side thing, or maybe something that you can come back to every now and then?
That's a good question. I've been trying to figure out what I want to do with my art career, or as an artist in general, not just in the furry spectrum and not just as a fursuit maker. For a while when I was growing up, that was my goal. I was like, yeah, I want to be a fursuit maker and I want this to be it. And while I do love making fursuits, and I do love, I really like while I do really enjoy making fursuits, I could see myself doing it long term, but not as my career per se. I'd love to do it as a side. I'd love to do it as maybe half of my identity as an artist, half of my life as a person. But I've been exploring. Like I said, I've been a furry since I was like 9, 10. So trying to explore who I am and what I'm capable of outside the fandom. I maybe in a couple years I'm just like, you know what? I want to double down and be the fursuit maker, of the Midwest. But and that would be really cool. I'd love to have as many people running around in my suits as possible, and be able to take those really cool maker photos where they're like dozens of them standing on the stairs, like those old fashioned family photos. I'd love that. But I don't know. It's something that's always going to be close to my heart. Even if I don't take commissions, I feel like I'd be making suits, pre-mades. I'd be making suits here and there. But it is a goal. I do want to be really, really good at it. I'm just deciding if I want that to be my career moving forward. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to stop anytime soon.
Were there any barriers or things that you had to overcome that came with making these fursuits, maybe business size or craft wise, that you hadn't really thought of before you actually got into it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It was from the point when I made my first fursuit out of Build-A-Bear and mystery upholstery foam for myself. It was quite the learning curve. There wasn't as many resources at all. There wasn't the tutorials. There wasn't, the most I had was probably like a few DeviantArt posts, a few pictures of old fursuits, and a couple live journals. And the rest was like, well, this should hold, right? And I didn't even have like an armature, so I was constantly like putting it on and taking it off, putting it on, taking it off. And it was a trial and tribulation, a weekend project. She did not last long. But besides like the learning curve of, learning how to work with foam and teaching myself to sew and finding online videos on how to sew and learning the different stitches, working with hot glue, that. And then I was really anxious when I sent out my first commission because I had no frame of reference. Like, I didn't see many fursuits. I'd never had a professionally crafted fursuit or a fursuit crafted by anyone other than myself. So I feel like I grew as a maker once the community grew more and I saw more makers and I had a better frame of reference. I had more guidance per se to see what could be done, motivation too. Other than that, actually buckling down and being like, okay, yeah, I want to start like a little business. There was a couple things to overcome. Just actually talking to other people, and being confident in my work, enough to send it to people and market myself and market my work confidently and accurately. I think when I first started, I think I was like, yeah, a head is like $150. Okay, $250. I was like, whoa, like really dirt cheap. I was working for hours on these projects and I wasn't respecting myself enough to give myself the proper amount that I should be getting paid for it. But I think that's like any creative aspiration and any creative profession or craft. It's finding a good balance for yourself and your work and your sleep and your time and everything like that. But yeah, it's been a journey and it's still going. Fur has gotten so many more colors and so many more durable fibers, and there's fleece and there's minky and there's flock suits now, and it's awesome, so it's a constantly improving thing, and fursuits are getting more high tech and beautiful, and the shapes and the colors and everything. I love seeing what happens next because there's always it's like a new fursuit thing every week. Wow, this fursuit is, you put this on and you become a werewolf. That's it. You literally transform into a werewolf. That's it. That's the suit. Have fun. Yeah, no, it's been a journey trying to and actually overcoming some of these things. I have some amazing commissioners who've commissioned me twice and have been super awesome and understanding and have worked with me, and it's super rewarding. I'm glad that I've worked hard for what I have so far. Yeah.
Damn. So you were taking commissions for fursuits before you were actually out there touching other people's fursuits.
Yeah, that was the
You had.
scariest thing.
Wow, that's crazy.
That was terrifying to me because all I had was pictures of other people and their other fursuits from other makers to look at and be like, okay, well, I don't see any. That would be my goal. And of course, photos aren't really super accurate to quality and feel. So I just had to strive for that perfection. And that was something that I had to be like, okay, well, wait. There is a such thing as editing. And of course, being like what 3 feet away from a camera phone is not gonna, but
Mhm. Right.
it was great to have something to work towards. But now that I see makers and I've seen actual fursuits from other makers, and I'm just like, oh, okay, well, why was I what the heck, I it's it's a process. I want to see so many other fursuits. I wanted so many suits I want to see in person, so many makers work that I would love to see. And I'm excited to once I can go somewhere, once we can do that again. I cannot wait because I feel like I've grown a lot as a crafter, and I'd like to. I'm ripping excited. I'm so excited to see my suits out there, and my commissioners out there with other suits. It's excited, but I can't wait. It's gonna be awesome.
Does being a BIPOC fursuit crafter make you happy? Like, is that a point of pride for you personally?
Yeah, actually, it's a point of pride because I've had people, like I said, I feel like people don't treat the creators in the fandom, fursuit makers, artists, otherwise, as real people. They don't see them for who they are, only not even just for their craft, but like only behind the furry um I don't know the word that I'm trying to find here, but you see them as like, oh, there's a fursuit maker. There's nothing more. They're just a cute dog that make other cute dogs. There's nothing more.
Mm-hmm.
When there's a lot more to a maker who spends the hour into this craft, who they are as a person, what they put into their art, than just dog make dog. You know what I mean? I've had clients who have decided not to work with me because I'm black. I've had a convention.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. I went to a convention. I vended at a convention, and I had people take business cards just to go to my Instagram later on and send just crazy things and be like, how dare you come to our convention and think that you can run this because I'm black? You know what I mean? How dare you come to my convention and think you can sell what you want to sell? I've had people when I went with when I had a table as a fursuit maker with my friend Paint Mutt, people would talk to him instead of me, even if I was at the optimal viewing height. Like, I'm here, yes, this is my work. I've had people directly just not look at me and not talk to me. And in that same vein, I've had people who are just like, wow, this is amazing. Oh my goodness, this is really cool. And other BIPOC furries come to me and be like, if you're, oh my gosh, you're black. You make fursuits. You're black. Wow, that's so cool. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to work with you. I can't wait to just know you. I didn't even know that. I didn't know there were BIPOC makers. There's many. there's quite a few, and it's really cool to see that now and to be a part of that and to grow and to be a big maker and be beside or to see the works of these people. That's awesome. Yeah, heck yeah, I'm proud of it. It's really, really cool. I didn't think growing up that I'd actually be a maker. I was just like, I'm gonna make a fursuit and then it'll be that. But it turned out to be something that I really enjoy doing, and it's really awesome to see people like me, or to finally see people like me who are doing it, and eventually get to talk to those people, maybe hear their experiences, see their work. Because, like I said, there's a lot more to fursuit makers and creators than just the work they create. So, yeah.
Right on, right on. Damn, you have lived quite the life.
I
Shit's
try.
crazy.
Man, small town. I'm gotta get out.
No kidding, no kidding. Okay. Well, I gotta know something. What
Mm.
is your favorite fursuit that you've made? Or which one carries the most attachment for you personally?
Oh man. Okay. Let's see. It's probably like a list for me. The one that's just like emotionally attached for me. She is no longer with us because I was an angsty teen, but I think like the second iteration of my first fursuit, because I wore that thing like it was no tomorrow. It was awesome. Even though she was something, I was just the joy experiencing that first, like having a fursuit, like your first cosplay, your first costume, something that you made and that people can see and people recognize. I mean, my grandma took me to it and I wore it to Target for peace sake. I was like, this is amazing. Never done before. Wow. I was in the backseat of the car waving to people. I was living my best life. And that suit's always going to hold a special place in my heart. I think the only pictures I have of it is on like my DSi camera. So it's just, man, that fursuit represents so much to me.
That's
Um,
vintage. I love
it is,
it.
mwah, we love it. And like my recent suits that I've made, I think it is a commission that I did for Adam the hyena, and he has like a magnetic mohawk, and he has the snake bite piercings and the magnetic ear gauges. He was a really big project full of firsts, and it was really cool seeing what I could do as a maker, trying a lot of new things and new paw styles and lining a lot of things. It's really cool. It was something that I did during the pandemic, I believe. I think I worked on him at the cusp of when it started, and I just dug my feet deep into it and was like, this is gonna be amazing. This is gonna be awesome. And I'm
So
really glad.
these like innovations that happen with the fursuits, is it something that the commissioners suggest, or is it something like, hey, what if we did this? Is it more like that, or maybe you see something on the timeline, and you're like, oh shit, what if I did that with this commission? You know what I mean?
With him, it was like a concept. I think I heard about, or I probably saw people having like interchangeable things on their fursuit, and on his
Mm-hmm.
reference sheet he has sorry and on his reference sheet his Sona has like different color hairstyles, and I was like, okay, so let's do that with your fursuit. Let's see if we can do that with your fursuit. That would be really cool, because he also changes his actual hair a lot. So I was like, that would be really cool if you could, just be like, okay, I'm green, and now my fursuit's green too. My hair is black, now my first, I thought that would be really, really cool. And then like the funny aspect of being bald, having your fursuit just wig gone. So sometimes, yeah, I've had commissioners come to me with new requests like, oh hey, this my character has dreads. Can you do that? And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's new. Yeah, let's see what we can rock with this one. And that's when experience from other makers and things like that come into play, because I may have an idea in my head for it, but if I look up and see a suit that has something different, so I'm like, okay, I didn't even think about that concept. Let's see what we can do with something like that. I love how that looks. Let's see if we can recreate something like that or take some influence from that.
Who are some cool BIPOC furs out there doing cool shit that you want to shout out?
Oh my gosh. Oh, there's so many. I one of the first BIPOC furs that I've ever seen and that inspired me was Jinx and Boots. Their art is so cool. I love how they switch up their style so often, and it's amazing. I also love oh no, I don't want to panic. I also love Twinkie Arts, the first BIPOC furry fursuit maker that I ever saw. Love their work, love follow their, it's amazing, inspiring. Some furries that I've interacted with that have just shown me how cool the fandom can be after my bad experiences growing up and recently. I am constantly on Twitter looking at these accounts. Oh no, my phone's dead. But Pibble King, uh, uh, Oh well, I have time. Let me not try to rush through this. There's Pibble King. There is Gozy. The swag on his tigers is crazy. It's mad. It's insane. The fashion. Solar Dog. Let me see. Furry YouTuber, Black furry YouTuber. Love cute tiger Sona. Solar Saber. Awesome. And they also play a video game that like it's just really cool to see people who look like me, who have the same interests, and they're out there living their best life. It's inspiring and it's amazing. And there's so many more. Let me see who else literally on my feed constantly. And there's so many people coming into the fandom, and I'm just like, you're not a furry yet, but I have my eyes on you. Who else? Quill. Dragoness VHS. Really, really cool. We've been mutuals for a while, and I just love their vibe. I love their energy. I could literally give you a list of like probably like 30 people. It's just really cool. Like the Twitter era of furries, the bi-POC furries out here doing their thing. Oh yeah. It's awesome. I'm just really happy to even know and follow some of these people. It's really, really awesome. Yeah, no. I didn't think I'd be able to shout out and talk about the people that I follow that I really, really like. Quill, the Carcool. So sweet, so nice. Everyone's so cool and doing their own thing. Oh, and Grizz, the hyena bear. So cool. Love their toony art. It's everyone's out here doing their thing. I literally, this could be the pot. I'd give me 2 hours and I'd go on forever. But it makes me happy to think about all the people who I've seen and who I've met online that are living their best life. Man. Yeah. And you with this podcast. It's awesome. It's so cool. I never would have thought that I'd meet so many people who BIPOC furries who are furries. I had no idea it was such a vast plethora of people who are so cool and vibing and doing their own thing. It's golly, it's awesome. It's gnarly.
Hell yeah. We are taking over. Whether they like it or not.
Yes, we're taking over. Yes. Man, now I've made my night. I'm gonna go get a burger and I'm just gonna be happily munching. Man, this is gonna be great.
That sounds fantastic. I wish you luck.
Thank you. Hopefully I'll sniff it out.
You mentioned that there's a lot of furries that are BIPOC now, and that's awesome. Now, I want to know what you think is something we could do to make it more inviting to people that are kind of on the fringes that don't really know if being furry is for them, but they're interested, but secretly. What do you think will push them in?
I think, for me, from what I know from the people that I've met who were on the fringe of it, especially like BIPOC people who were into the fandom and didn't know if they wanted to be into it, when I was younger, like maybe just a couple years back, they were like, "Oh no, that's a white folk thing." I've never met, like, I would be the only Black furry, only BIPOC furry that I ever met, and I'd be like, "No, wait, there's more. I promise there's more. Let me look through my phone book. I promise." But now these are some of the top creators. They're making amazing things. Go to furry Twitter and you see that and you're like, "Oh, they're just like me. I'm just like you." And I think that's going to draw a lot of people in. Of course, there's always room for change. You go into other areas. I think Twitter's really, really great at it. But you go to Instagram or you go, I don't know, like maybe I don't know how Fur Affinity works. You go to another furry site and it's just not as well received by POC furries and their work, which is something that definitely needs to be worked on. Convention spaces, things like that. I know guest of honor, by POC furries being guest of honor was something that was talked about not too long ago, and that's a wonderful way to do it. Why not lift these voices and lift these people up so that way people can see themselves, even if they're not in the fandom, they're going to hear, whoa, there's something happening downtown. Whoa, this person is wow, they made this. They're holding a talk. Well, let me go ahead and go see. And just making people feel more welcome. Like I said in that chat, local chat, making sure that BIPOC people are actually comfortable and they're actually safe to be themselves and to actually enter these spaces. And you work it from the ground up, and it just gets better. It's a lot of small communities in the furry fandom that needs to work on that, from what I've seen. And once that happens, I think it'll be a waterfall effect. So yeah.
That's wonderful. That is a really good answer. Okay.
Neat.
I think that just about does it for this episode. Thank you again, Graham, for coming on the show and chatting with me.
Oh man, thank you so much for having me. It's been amazing.
Oh, I'm glad you liked it. You've got the spotlight to promote anything you want. Go for it.
I want to shout out Patemont. He's an amazing artist, really sweet guy. His art is fantastic. I want to shout out all the people that I've met. I don't have a list, but if you've ever spoke to me online, I want you to know that I think you're amazing, and thank you. Of course, support Paymont, support BIPOC furries, BIPOC furries. Support the creators out here. They are doing amazing things from the ground up, from someone who's been in the fandom forever. Oh, please. People are doing big things nowadays. Of course, Black Lives Matter. Forever and always. Support our Black trans siblings. Support. There's so much stuff I want to support. There's so many things I want to say. I'm sorry.
Support everybody.
Support our community. Support our marginalized friends, brothers, sisters, and siblings. It's very important, especially in a time like this right now. Stay inside. Make sure you get your vaccine when you can. Wait your turn, and have a great day or night wherever you are.
Black Lives Matter. Stop Asian hate. All cops are bastards. Be sure to follow the show at @whatsthefuzz_ on Twitter, and follow Graham at Mango Moyen. Thanks again, everybody out there, for listening. See you next time. Bye-bye.